Good morning everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here from Visualised NZ. It's Monday morning here in New Zealand and that means it's time for my Deal It Up challenge. So this is number 3, week 3 in the series. I hope you've been playing along, or if you haven't seen it before, that you are interested in playing along. Now every week on a Monday I bring a challenge from these groups of cards. So there's 3 prompts that make up the prompt for the week, and I pick a card from each pile and then we make something. There's no time limit, so if you're only just finding this new and you have a look back at week 1, feel free, do week 1, do week 2. In a year's time, do them in whatever order, whenever you like. They're going to remain up, so yeah, don't feel pressured that you've got to make something in the week, or you know, if a prompt doesn't suit, then that's fine, just go to another one. It's absolutely no pressure, it's just fun. For those that like working to prompts, I like working to prompts myself, so I find it quite fun. Yeah, so just enjoy it. There's absolutely no pressure. And then if you'd like to share, you can tag on Instagram Deal It Up Challenge, or you can pop into the Facebook group Visual Vibes and post what you make there. And I have a thread for each week. There's a new thread which you can post your pictures of what you've made in it for that prompt. Okay, so what card are we going to choose? Eeny, meeny, this one, buttons. We're going to use buttons. Okay, so you might choose to use real buttons, or you might choose to make paper buttons or pictures of buttons. Be creative, don't get stuck into thinking I don't have buttons, I can't do it. You can absolutely do it lots of different ways. There's even die cuts that make buttons. I think I've got some somewhere. Some dies that cut out buttons. So yeah, don't be limited. If you think I haven't actually got any buttons to use, make some. And I went through a phase of working with polymer clay, and I actually made buttons from polymer clay, and I loved them. They were super cool. But working with polymer clay was just too hard on my fingers, working the clay when it was quite hard, a lot of kneading. So I gave away or sold all my polymer clay. And every now and then it's like, oh, I wish I still had some. But, you know, my fingers I don't think would cope at all well. Okay, so let's pick a card for our next one. And I'm feeling this end this time. Layered. So we're doing something with layers and with buttons. Okay. So now we need a style or colour, which is the third prompt, I believe. If I haven't mixed them up. Now, just to be upfront, I have removed the 3 cards from last week's prompt, just so that we didn't end up with doing the same thing twice in 2 weeks. And then I'll pop them back in and they'll be back in for next week, and I'll remove the 3 that I pulled today. I'll remove them so they won't be in next week's prompt, just to keep things fresh. Okay. Oh, okay, so that's the style or colour. This is the what we're making. I did get it mixed up. So we're making a rectangle style pocket. Now it's stipulated rectangle because I've got 2 prompts in here. One is pocket rectangle and one is for a different type of pocket. So we're making a pocket of some rectangular description. Now that could be square as well. Is absolutely could stretch out to square, rectangular-ish, and it could be any style of pocket. It could big pocket, little pocket, up to you to choose. So those are our prompts to get creative with. Hopefully you can see those in the camera. Right, I'll pop you on pause while I just grab together my stuff, and then I'm going to make something. Okay, I am back with hopefully what I need to do this challenge. So just to refresh my own memory, buttons, layered and a rectangle pocket are the three things to combine into something. Now I just felt like doing an art journal spread today, one because that's just the mood I'm in, and two to show that these prompts can be translated however you like, whether it's making something for a journal, making something for your personal journal, or doing something arty. It's up to you. You could also turn these into a form of greeting card too if you're a card maker. If you're a scrapbooker, then you can incorporate these elements into your scrapbook layout. So, you know, don't be stuck into a mindset, and I'm talking to myself here, of it has to be like for a journal that you're making. It absolutely does not have to be. It's just a bit of fun, a bit of a challenge working to prompts. Great for getting out of a creative rut if you're in a bit of a creative rut, and we all get that time to time. Now I didn't grab out a brush, so excuse me reaching across, and hopefully this paint is still wet enough. It looks quite dry. Yeah, it's okay. And I'm just going to start laying down some paint first. And I'm keeping in mind that one of the prompts is layered. So I want to layer this up with lots of different things. And I'm starting just with some paint, some acrylic paint. And I'm not thinking too much about it. Just getting some colour down, because in this journal it's got different pages. So I want to provide a bit of cohesion between the two. And I'm going to layer up with my pocket, and I'm going to probably collage the pocket, so that's going to be another layer. Just need a bit more water on my brush, and hopefully this will dry fast enough, or I might have to keep putting it on pause to let things dry in between, and just have some fun, have a play around. So how was everyone's weekend? Mine was, I'd have to say, fairly quiet. I had a big headache on Saturday, so I wasn't feeling up to much. I did a little bit of crafting, but I was kind of in that zone where like, oh, I could do this, oh, I just can't organise myself to do it, or oh, I could do this, but oh, I don't know where to start. You know, one of those moods where it's just all too difficult because I wasn't feeling that great. And yeah, so it was a quiet day, and my husband was preparing his message for speaking at church on Sunday, so he was off doing that. I watched a little bit of YouTube. I watched a disaster movie on YouTube, which was just a fun diversion from not doing anything else, basically. Yeah, so quiet weekend, which is fine. I've found myself being pretty busy lately, so a bit of downtime is actually not a bad thing. Just to give myself a bit of a break, a bit of a rest, time to get some new inspiration, you know, give time for the brain to perceive new things, because it's not fed on a constant diet of doing, which is what I tend to do. I tend to be doing just constantly. Sometimes you just need to stop and allow your brain time to just dwell on things for a little bit. Okay, so I'm just layering up different paints here. It's part of my layering process. Now, one of these pages is going to be pretty much covered by my pocket. I don't know which one yet, so that's all good. And whatever isn't covered, then I want to, you know, still be cohesive. So I'm just doing the whole lot, because then it's all good. Right, and I think I've got another blue here somewhere, if it didn't go off. No, I thought I had a blue that went super hard, so I thought maybe it was this one, but it's not. It's all good. where I've got them, my paints sitting is not the best place for them because they're in the sun when I've got the curtains open, so they're drying out quicker than what they should, so I need to move them. It's a bit of a silly place for me to have them. It was fine during winter, but not so much now that we're heading into summer. So I'm just actually liking this already. It's just some textural, colourful fun. And I'm going with blues just because I knew I had a few blues beside me. I've also got a few pinks, but yeah, blue today, I think. And I'm not being precious with my brush because it's just a cheap one. It doesn't matter if it gets all damaged. So don't come at me if you think I shouldn't treat my brush this way, because honestly, this brush does not matter. And I just want to get some of that cool texture and make sure the paint's not too thick, so I'm not waiting too long for it to dry. Right, here we go, and into the water to clean off. Right, so that's my first layer, which is essentially 3 layers of different shades of blue. Now I'm going to give that a little bit of time to dry, and I do just have some protective sheets in between my pages so that they don't damage other pages in my journal. Right, so this is a Reader's Digest page that I've used as a glue page and then just folded it in half once it got too gluey. And I am going to cut it down a little bit because it's got a tear and a ratty edge, which is fine for some things, but I just want to give it a tidy up. So I'll do that first. My chair's all creaky. Right, and it's not particularly well stuck together, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more glue around the edges. So it's all stuck down. Right, and now I am going to do some collaging on it. So just grab out my bag of scrappy bits, which is under the curtain at the moment, so fighting the curtain. There we go. And just going to pull some random bits, thinking to introduce a bit more different colours as well, maybe. Although I seem to be pulling predominantly blues, which is fine. Not that bit, that bit. A bit of envelope, let's see. It's not a very big pocket, so I don't need a lot, but I just want to do some collage. This is a bit from a children's storybook. Sorry, gone absolutely completely silent off the airwaves there. Sort of thinking, trying to think ahead in my process as to what I want to have it look like. And I've really got no idea. My thoughts aren't thinking very well. Introduce a bit of green, why not? Oh, glue goober now. I think it's time I changed out my glue page. Yep. Stay where I want you to, would you? Thank you. Yep, managed to rub that glue off, but let's just change this page. Actually, I might not use that because it's very slippery on one side, so perhaps not the day to fight with it trying to stick down. And I'm just trying to trim sort of roughly where I want it, so I'm not putting glue everywhere. So I went for my first swim last week in months. It'd been absolute months since I'd been swimming, and because my togs, they all didn't fit. They were all too big and not decent for swimming anymore, because they weren't doing what they needed to do. And it was just so nice to be back in the pool. I absolutely love swimming. I did 8 lengths, which I thought was pretty good considering I hadn't been swimming in months and hadn't done a lot of exercise. So I was quite happy with that. But man, did it bite me. I was so tired all the rest of the day. Absolutely tired, lightheaded. Did not feel great at all. I was at my husband's work, so I curled up on the couch for a little bit, and I didn't sleep or anything. I just closed my eyes and rested. And then I think Saturday, when I had the big headache, I think that was part of it, that I just pushed it a little bit far, a little bit hard. Oh, but it was so worth it. Like 2 days of feeling bleh. I just loved being back in the pool. And it's a heated pool. I was a little bit cold when I first hopped in, but then it was fine. It's just so lovely. And then I had a spa after that, which is super lovely. Just toasty warm and relaxing, soothing on the muscles, because I have to admit my arms were a bit sore after it by the end of the 8 lengths, because I only use my arms when I'm swimming. I don't use my legs for various reasons. There's reasons for that. And so, 8 lengths just using my arms, they were a little bit sore. They were. I need something else. I just want something else in there. So let me just dig through my bag of goodies again. How about a bit of map? See a bit of map here. It's got some glue on it. Looks like Canada, I do believe. Is that going to be tall enough? Hopefully. We'll soon find out. Yep, it's going to be tall enough. Take a little bit off the bottom because it's slightly too tall, and rough this edge up as well. Yeah, so super fun to be back in the water swimming. So I'm aiming to go swimming again tomorrow. So I'm going to pre-record my video for tomorrow just so that I can, if I want to, because if I go swimming it means I've got to be out the whole day, because it's in next town over where my husband works, so I need to go with him for the whole day so I can go swimming. So that's my plan, and I need to work out how to get enough fuel in before I go swimming and after. And I think that was part of my problem, is I just simply didn't have enough fuel for the amount of activity I was doing. So I need to work that one out, and that will be trial and error. Okay, so I've layered that up now with some paper. Going to add, actually I'm going to go around the corners. Oops, that's not stuck down very well. Put some of these scraps away just so they're out of my way, because we're finished with those now, I think. Maybe. Right, just going to grab, yep, that's that's pretty much dry now. So think about where I want my pocket. And it will need to go this way because it's too wide to go this way, although I could cut it down more if I wanted. In fact, I do want to cut it down slightly. I don't know, just because I felt like it just needed, the proportions weren't quite right, I think. Yeah, thinking this side of the page, though it would work really well that side as well. Okay, I think I need to trim it down this way as well. There's just something about the proportions that are bugging me, so bugs you, deal with it. Do something about it. Right, so I'm going to round these corners now. And then ink it. And this is essentially another layer, isn't it? Layer of ink, just around the edge. Selective layer, if you like. You crumbs everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. I haven't finished with the pocket. There's more I want to add to it, but for now, it's fine. I think I want a thumb notch out actually before I glue that down. What I want to do is just decorate it, so I can do that once it's glued down. Right, hopefully that's in the middle. I think that's where I took the divot out. The thumb notch. Right, and now I can glue it. I probably should have done more to the background before I'm gluing this down, but I've already put glue on now, so we'll just have to deal with that. Flying by the seat of my pants. That's what I'm doing today. There we go, there's my pocket. So I've met the rectangle pocket part of the prompt already. I have actually achieved the layered, but there's more that I want to do yet. And then it's the buttons that we haven't got so far. Right. So I would like to do some stamping, is what I'm thinking. I'm just going to grab out this Hessian pattern from Kaisercraft, add a bit of detail on the back, and I'm going to use black and just randomly stamp bits here and there. And this is why I should have done it before I stuck the pocket down, so I could not worry about getting it on the pocket. Nice bit of texture there. Let's stamp a wee bit of a clean off. There we go, so that's all good for that. And I'm thinking maybe some script or something along those lines. If I can reach it. One of my tubs of stamps here. It's in here somewhere. That one. Oops, something fell down behind me. No, this one. This is one of my favourite ones. It's a nice small script, but quite clear as well. Stamps really nicely. And it's a good size for this size of page. Right. I do like using the block with this one though. Grab out my block. Whoops. Didn't manage to stamp that first one very well, but never mind. Put one sideways. go. Right, so we've added another layer with stamping. I am also thinking a bit of stenciling because, you know, we might as well layer it up as much as possible. We might as well really go to town on this, don't you think? I think so. That stamping possibly should have been done before stenciling though, but that's okay. If the black smears, it smears. So what stencil would we like? Oh, feather. Feather is catching my eye, so let's go feather. This is just off AliExpress. Quite affordable, these little stencils. They're usually what I go for, just because they are affordable. And you can, there's lots of different designs available. So, and usually I don't need anything too big. Right, I'm just going to go with my vintage photo. It'll tie in with the distressing around the pocket, and I need to get some sponges for my other inks, so I'll hopefully be doing that next Tuesday, I think, when I go shopping. Yep, very subtle-ish, which I'm perfectly happy with. It's just another layer of detail, building up that background with layers. And a little bit down here. And it's not smearing the ink because I am dabbing rather than rubbing. So that's all working well for me. There we go. And then a little bit over here as well. Actually, I think I want to go the other way. So don't forget, you can switch your stencils over to work if you want a different direction or a different look to the pattern. You can do both sides. It does pay to clean them in between so that you're not pressing the ink or paint or whatever down on your page. I just took the risk then that it wouldn't transfer, and then I like to clean it off with just rubbing it on a bit of paper. And this is a fun way to decorate up some drop paper too, because you get that pattern coming through because the ink gets rubbed into the gaps on the stencil. So I feel like you're not wasting that ink either. There we go. And so we've got some pattern on my drop sheet now as well. And this drop sheet's just layering it up with all sorts of colours and textures and stamp offs and all sorts of things. Is lots of fun too. Right, really liking that. I think it's looking lovely. And I am thinking two things to decorate up, and one is a bird, because I've kind of got the feathers in there. Bird is what's coming to my brain. That would be cool. There's a really cool owl. But let's see what else. I've got quite a selection here. The owl's cool, but is there something better? Some of these are quite big. There's a, not sure what sort of bird. It's a bit big though. And here's another owl, little owl. I'm looking at the colours as well, thinking, is the colour of this owl working? It does tie in with the Distress ink. Oh, penguin. Penguin's kind of cool. And then do I want on that side or this side? Okay, I was also thinking flower, but now I'm thinking flower and bird aren't going to go so well together. So I'm going to keep looking. This is the part that takes me the time, is the thinking about what I want to decorate with. Finding the thing that makes me happy, that looks good, that I'm just feeling at the moment. Here's a kiwi. Oh, he's a fine fellow, isn't he? Lovely kiwi. I think I like the kiwi there. So I'm going to go with kiwi there. Still not sure about the other side of the side of the page. Maybe a quote or something instead of an image. But I think I want book page behind him or her. So a little bit of extra layer. And some of this vintage, really yellowed, discoloured paper I think would be lovely. Sideways. Yep, sideways I think is the way. Okay, I'm getting a huge stack beside me of things I'm just popping to the side. And in front of me too, the stamps and everything. Just piling up. So I have to do a clean up after this video so I can have my desk back. Right, pop that down there. Now for our kiwi, if he doesn't run away, because he can't fly. Don't you run away, Mr. Kiwi. There. And I'm not thinking about putting anything in the pocket, although I could. I might do that later. But I've met the prompt because I have a pocket. So you don't, just because you make a pocket doesn't mean you actually have to put anything in the pocket. If you don't want to, that is perfectly fine. And at some point, if you decide you want to, then you can. If you make something and think, now where am I going to house this, because you know I've got nowhere to put it, then maybe that pocket is just the place it needs to go. So, thinking maybe a little number somewhere. Just diving into my packet of, yep, I like that. Click, click. I didn't distress the kiwi bird because it wouldn't have shown up, and it's glossy paper, so it probably would have smeared or yeah, or not adhered that well anyway, so I didn't bother distressing him. It's cut out of some sort of book. I can't remember what sort of book. Right, here's another element. And still wondering about this side. I feel like I need a quote or something. What have I got words wise? Don't have quotes here, but maybe a word, a big enough word might be okay. yeah, something like that might be okay. Or I do have this quote. Ah, there we go. Let's use that one. That's one I've stamped and combined it with a stamp from a different set of a little mason jar. So let's just fussy cut this out for a moment. Sorry that you're gonna probably be completely bored watching me cut. This is on a very thin paper too. Oops, not doing a particularly wonderful job of cutting it out. I'm trying to hurry. And the quote says, "A friend is one of the nicest things to have and one of the nicest things to be." So that's quite a lovely quote, isn't it? And that comes from a stamp set with teddy bears. Trying to think of the brand. It's a good brand. It's the most I've ever paid for a stamp set. I bought it from a craft shop, which is now closed down actually. Closed down a few years back. Oh, I can't think of the brand. And the mason jar one is just one from AliExpress as part of another set, which I do believe I bought specifically just for the jar. And I'm just going to put that bang smack in the middle, because I think that sentiment deserves centre stage, don't you think? Right, so just right bang in the middle. Here we go. And I am going to call that done. So let's just review. I'll grab the cards out from where I've buried them under all this stuff. So today's Deal It Up challenge, or this week's Deal It Up challenge for week 3, we have a rectangle pocket. So here's our pocket here with where we can put something in if we choose to or not. Oh, I haven't done buttons. We've got layered. Okay, buttons. Right, I did have a thought for buttons. Good thing I reviewed that. Otherwise I would have been missing. Right. Getting ahead of myself. And I'm going to just grab some of this book page. And I'm going to cut a few circles. And this is my 3/4 inch circle punch. And hopefully it punches okay, because this paper is, oops, this book page is quite soft and it may have issues with it. Oops, didn't get it all the way in there. So I'm thinking 3, you know, the uneven number's always good. So I'll get rid of that one that had a bit out of it. Okay, so I'm just going to do quite simple. I think this would be too big, my single hole punch. I'm just going to grab out the bit that I just threw away and give it a test run on that. I think this is going to be too big, but actually it might be okay. Just going to punch the holes for the buttons. Okay, so this is a simple way you can create buttons if you don't have buttons that you want to use. I do have buttons, but I don't want to bulk up this journal with things that I can't easily do art over the top. You know, I don't want to be working on this page and having that texture. So I'm choosing to use flat buttons. So you can just punch out some circles or cut out some circles, and I'm going to give them a bit of ink. You could use different coloured inks, you could have fun, you could stamp on them, you could use magazine paper, scrapbook paper, any bit of paper that's just sort of hanging around, turn it into a little paper button. And just kind of daubing ink around the inner circles, very roughly, very messily. And that's just part of the junky look that they'll end up with, which is perfectly fine by me. Okay, and they are my little buttons. So let's just glue those down and then I'll be able to say it's complete. I bet you were telling me, weren't you? What about the buttons? Crisis averted. Sorry again for reaching under the camera. And then I'll do a review. Make sure I didn't forget anything else. There we go. And of course, if you're using real buttons, you could put some thread through, so you know they look like they've got sewing happening. There's so many ways you could do this. Okay, so let's now review. We have our rectangle pocket, like so. We have our buttons, 1, 2, 3 of them at the last moment. And then we have layered. So we've got the layers of our acrylic paint. We've got layers of stamping, a layer of stenciling. We've got a layer of collage on our pocket, and then some book page layered on, a label and a focal image. So that's all layers. And then over here, our final layer of our quote, our stamped quote. So there we go. There's my interpretation of those prompts. I would love to see what you come up with. Have fun, be creative, and remember there's absolutely no pressure. Just have fun, interpret the prompts however you wish. And I shall see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.